Hello, I have a story for you today. I'm going to read it off of my laptop. This is from the book that I am writing called Whoever Wishes. And the chapter is called Don't Worry, There's Brownies After This. And you'll see why it's called that. See, it just disappeared. I have to bring it back up. You'll see why it's called that at the end. It's a good reason. But it's basically about how God is a very present help in trouble. It is a real, true life story from my life, a situation where I really, really, really needed God. And I really needed Him to provide somebody for me, and He did. So I am excited to share it with you. I hope that after hearing this, or maybe you have your own examples of when God came through for you. I wish that we would share more of those with each other because it would just increase our faith and connect us as Christians. So, okay, here we go. Don't worry, there's brownies after this. The verse at the top says, "Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and He will say, 'Here am I.'" Isaiah 58, verse 9. This is one of my favorite chapters. You'll see why. It will demonstrate a very concrete example that the verse above is true. It is tangible evidence that He hears and He answers, and He might just prompt a neighbor to bring you brownies when it all is said and done. My car accident. One day, after I dropped my boys off at school, I was driving to go get my husband from work. As an EMT, he works 24-hour shifts. We had one car at the time, so I was the driver most days. Go get the kids to school and then go pick up or drop off my husband at work. That was my daily routine. It was about 8:05 a.m. on a Friday. Aren't these things supposed to happen on a random Tuesday? I was looking forward to the weekend. As I drove through an intersection where I had the green light, suddenly a white car appeared in front of me, speeding from the left. He was running his red light. I slammed on my brakes, but it was inevitable. We collided. His car spun around, and my car eventually rolled to a stop. Naturally, I was stunned. After about 20 or 30 seconds, I realized I was okay, and I needed to go check on the other driver. Suddenly, I was so worried it had been worse for them than it was for me. But thankfully, they got out of their car. It was a young dad with a little girl. I was so afraid she had been hurt. I asked if they were okay, but he kept cursing about his car being so badly damaged. So I asked the little girl repeatedly if she was okay. Then they reassured me that they were, in fact, okay. A few witnesses came over. They came over to check on us, and they gave me their names and phone numbers for the police report. This initial support was a godsend in itself. After they made sure that we were really okay, they left. I took out my phone to call my husband to tell him what happened. He didn't answer. And then when I tried to call again, my phone died. It did fly into the dashboard, so maybe that had something to do with it, but I really needed my phone right now. The witnesses were gone, and the police had not been called yet. The guy said that his phone had died too. He was already really upset by the situation, so I didn't ask him too many questions. I tried my phone again. Absolutely nothing. Cars passed, probably assuming that we had phones. Suddenly, I was completely stuck. 2 disabled vehicles and no way to call the police. I stood there doing absolutely nothing but thinking about what to do next. Then I remembered the one call that I hadn't made yet to God above. I sat down on the curb by my car and in desperation prayed, begged, really, pleaded with God for help. I need somebody, Lord, I said. I really need somebody. Please help me. Please. I need somebody, Lord. Please help me. Please. And you won't believe this, but after about a minute or so of my begging for help, a green van pulled up in front of me. But it wasn't even just some random passerby. It was someone from my church. Hey, I said, what are you doing here? He said, well, I never take this way to work, but I decided to stop for some coffee and donuts on the way to a meeting. And I thought it looked like you, sitting on the side of the road. Since he had went to my church, I knew I could tell him how I had just been sitting on the curb, praying/begging for help. I told him the whole story. I blurted out, I was just sitting here asking God to send me somebody, please. And you pulled up, trying to understand his timing. Yes, that was my first question when he left his house. I asked Phil, when did you leave your house? He said it had been about 10 minutes beforehand. But I had only prayed 1 minute ago. I was in awe. And then Phil did everything that I needed somebody to do. He called the police. He called my husband. He talked to the other driver. And then he went and got my husband from work and brought him back to me. Wow. God is amazing. He really came through for me this time. And his timing was impeccable. I continued to think about that, his timing. So I had prayed 1 minute before Phil showed up, but he left his house at least 10 minutes before. So does that mean that God put the thought in his head to take another route before I even asked for help? And then there's a verse. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. Whether God put the thought in his head before he left his house or at the moment I was praying, I do not know. But it was one of the two, just like the verse says. God is so, so good. I still get tears in my eyes when I talk about this story. All of it is true, and so is God. He hears and he answers. This is the God I love, the one who hears me. And that is why I had to write a book, so that you could call on him too. I still tell my friend who showed up thank you from time to time for the time he was an absolute godsend. We got him a gift card to the donut shop he was trying to get to that day. And I think about sending him another one every time I reread this story. Thank you. But the story's not over yet, because there were more godsends. When my neighbor heard that I had been in a car accident, she brought over something to make me feel better. A bottle of wine and the best brownies ever, the kind with the cookie topping. They were so good and so comforting. I even took a snapshot of her gift after I took photos of my totaled car. And I made the caption, "Don't worry, there's brownies after this."